We're going to be talking about Week 1 to recap, basically our thoughts on the games that happened over Week 1. We're going to kick it off here, starting with our with the first game I think we'll talk about here is the phenomenal performance of the Colts leader Daniel Jones playing his first game as an Indianapolis Colt. First off, for me, mind blowing. All three of us had Miami winning this game, and the fact that Daniel Jones did something, I seen something about it, but it was history made by Daniel Jones. History was made by him as being the only person in the Super Bowl era, to come out in their first game and score a touchdown on every single drive that they played in the game. Like every single drive that they played was a touchdown. He went 22 for 29, 272 yards, one touchdown, zero interceptions, and then 115 passer rating. But the team scored a touchdown on every drive they played on. It was insane. And then as well as the defense playing great. I believe there was a pick six or something like that. They played a solid game all around. The entirety of the team. I don't know where this came from. I don't think anyone expected the Colts to come out the gate running and winning 33-8 against the Miami Dolphins. But to me, that's pretty insane. Daniel Jones, Indiana Jones is what they're calling him, played phenomenal. I as a Giants fan, where was this for 4 years? But congratulations to him. Great job by him.
mean, for that game in particular, I just think the Colts came out swinging and wanted to prove a statement. And I think mainly the Dolphins just came out looking extremely horrible. I feel like for Tua to only be 14 for 23 with 114 yards, with one touchdown and two interceptions, I think that speaks more on that team than it does on the Colts' performance. Yeah, okay, Daniel Jones did do good, but I think Miami just came out looking extremely horrible, and I think the issues from last year definitely carried over into this year for Miami.
Vic, have anything to add?
Yeah, man. Yeah, Daniel Jones looked great, bro. That offense was gelling. I mean, they capitalized on three turnovers from Miami. Tua with two interceptions and a fumble on a rush that he had. He only got sacked once, Daniel Jones. So defense wasn't there for Miami. Just sloppy play all around. And they utilized. They were able to take advantage of those turnovers. They ran the ball between both their backs for over 100 yards. And Tyler Warren had a great game, the tight end. And Daniel Jones just utilized his weapons that he had, man, and that was pretty much the whole game right there, and that's why the score was the way the score was.
Fair, fair, very fair. All right, let's move on to the next one here. I think this is one we all want to kind of talk about because this was like a big game here to start the week off, really. Incredible game, incredible showing by both teams, and we're going to start off here with the Pittsburgh Steelers going over to MetLife Stadium versus the New York Jets. Vic, I know you have some strong opinions about this, being the Homer Jets fan here. I love the Jets too. Don't get me wrong, but you're on a different level with it. You want to start us off on this? You have any? What's your takes on this game?
Oh man, I am extremely happy. I mean, there's probably maybe one or two bad things I'll take from the game, but I'm so thrilled with the way the offense played, man. They ran the ball better than I thought they were going to run the ball. The O line looked phenomenal, with the exception of losing one of their best guys on the line, Veritucker. And Fields, man, he played up to par, man. He didn't have to do anything fancy. I know he had a deep ball to Garrett Wilson once in the game, but he kept it together, man, and he moved great in the pocket. Even if he was getting out of the pocket, man, he moved great. Defense on Pittsburgh was solid. Membu had a great game against Watt. Yeah, he had some pressures, man, but all in all, for his first start going up against a caliber player like T.J. Watt, he was able to hold his own. Defense stopped the run as I expected them to with those extra additions in the middle, man, and they look solid all around. Aaron Rodgers just had a great game, though, man. Like, yeah, I know he wanted to win this game. You know what I mean? Like, especially the way they ended off with the franchise. He was playing with a chip on his shoulder for sure. And he went out there and threw 4 touchdowns, and we were on him. We were on him. We got sacks. We pressured him, but he just beat us. And the weakest point I'd say I seen on that Jets defense was Stevenson, man. That corner we grabbed from Baltimore had a couple of penalties and blown coverages on his part, man. But I mean, all in all, I'm happy with the way the defense played. They didn't have penalties. They had 2 penalties, man. That was probably the biggest joy. I think they had the most penalties in the league last season, or at least we're in top 3 for that, and they only had 2. So, overall, I'm happy with the way the offense looked and gelled together against a playoff caliber team in Pittsburgh. And they just got to clean up some things on defense, and I'm confident Aaron Glenn's going to get them on board, and they're going to continue to make progress in this season. With the hard part of their schedule up early.
Awesome. Dan.
Like Vic said, the Jets offense definitely came out and showed out what they're capable of, but they did make some mistakes. I mean, yeah, they had the fumble that gave Pittsburgh momentum in the second half to lead to the touchdown to take the lead, and then the Jets, I believe, scored again. So that happened, but yeah, like Vic said, Aaron Rodgers came out and played with a chip on his shoulder to beat the Jets and try to prove something that I should still be there type of game. Like 22 for 30 with 244 yards with 4 touchdowns. That's kind of a good game. Yeah, okay, he got sacked 4 times, but at the same time, to still do that performance against your old team, kind of a statement when he didn't really have that many receivers besides Metcalf.
Yep. For me, I think if you're looking at the Jets, if you like the Jets, I think this is a great game. Yes, they did lose by 2 points, but I don't think the team played bad. I think, yes, there were a couple of mistakes on defense, things you could absolutely clean up. It's a 34-score game. There are things you could absolutely clean up there. But I think overall you're going against a Hall of Fame quarterback in Aaron Rodgers, who had basically a perfect QB rating, and you still kept it close by 2 points. And mainly, it had to do, for me, it had to do a lot with that fumble. The fourth quarter, they allowed 17 points. 13 of them were after the fumble that happened. They came out the gate. They got their score. Jets came back, scored. The Steelers got that fumble from Gibson over at the kick return, and it was just really unfortunate timing. It gave Pittsburgh a lot of momentum going into the fourth quarter. They score a touchdown. They get another field goal. Jets, even with the touchdown they got, try to go for a 2-point conversion to get back into range. They just can't get it. They fall by 2. Overall, though, I think Justin Fields, 1 touchdown for passing. He gets 2 rushing touchdowns in the game, uses his head, and I like that he knew how to maneuver in that pocket. He played great in it. He knew when to move around. He knew when to run. He rushed. He did everything he had to. He did a mixture of both, and I think the Jets played to his strength. They didn't try to force him to be a pocket passer. They didn't try to make him out to be an Aaron Rodgers or a Peyton Manning or one of those guys. They didn't try to make him out to be one of them. They let him play the dual threat that they let him be. They came out swinging with him out the gate, and I think it was a great game showing by the Jets. Absolutely, the penalties they cleaned up on. Like Vic said, they were one of the worst teams penalty-wise last year, at least finishing top 5 in most penalties in the league. It was terrible. This time they only allowed 2, and they were very questionable calls, depending on who you're going to ask here, but really can't do nothing about that. Overall, though, I think it was a solid performance by their offense and their defense, even with they got picked apart here and there, but I still think if you put a lot of quarterbacks against that Jets team, they're probably not giving you that same performance that the Steelers gave you, even with just Metcalf and a supporting cast behind him. I think the Jets overall, solid team. I'm very excited for them this year. They have a lot to prove, especially in next week's game. I'm very, very excited to see it. Fields played great. Breece Hall, first off, coming back after everyone doubting him. Contract year, coming out with 107 yards rushing. Incredible. Played amazing. 19 for 107. 5.6 on the average, long of 18. Played amazing. Loved it. Loved everything about it. They fed Garrett Wilson the ball. They made him the star. And yes, he did drop that pass at the end, but it's a very, very desperate play. You're trying to keep it. He got hit very hard by Jalen Ramsey. Not many people are keeping that ball in their hands. Not many. And if you gave him the ball again, I guarantee you would try, and he probably would at that point, but it's very hard. He's coming from behind. Really not much you could do about that. Overall, though, solid game by everyone on the offense. I have no complaints, personally, with that offense. I want to see them do it again, week in, week out. Everything was great about them. Moving on here, we're going to go to the Giants versus Washington game. I'll start off with this one. I just... This game was very frustrating. As a Giants fan, this game was very frustrating. Russell Wilson came out 17 for 37 first off with a 59 rating here. No touchdowns thrown. The Giants haven't thrown a touchdown in the last, I think it was 4 opening game seasons. They've been outscored. I think I forgot what the total was. I think it was like 19 to 83 in the opening game in the last 4 seasons. It's terrible. I don't know what it is with the play calling. I don't know what it is about anything going on here with this team when it comes to this opening drive, but they need to lock in and they need to start scoring some goal. They need to start scoring some touchdowns here. With the offense that you have, with Malik Neighbors out there, with Russell Wilson, you should not be coming out of this game with 6 points, with 2 field goals, with 0 touchdowns total by anything. They couldn't get the rushing offense started at all. They were missing Andrew Thomas there at the offensive tackle position due to an illness. But at the end of the day, there's still people that got to do their jobs. The Jets missing one of their stars on the line, and Breece Hall still came out for 107. There is no excuse as to why this team couldn't get anything going. They were throwing a lot up the middle. But it was not. Sorry, they should have been throwing a lot out the middle. They were throwing a lot of deep passes when they kept getting rushed. There were so many pressures by the Washington Commanders' defensive line. They came out with a vengeance. They were coming out there to play. They were coming out like they wanted that win, and they got the win. Jaden Daniels played amazing. 19 for 30, 233, 1 touchdown thrown, but he did his job. He did everything he had to do. Deebo Samuels came out. 1 reception, 19 yards, didn't look bad at all. Eckler he got split because of the fact that he got hurt mid-game, which is a little bad on his part. Obviously, it's not good to have him, be hurt. But Jaden Daniels as well, 11 carries, 68 yards, 6.2 per gain, and then 14 yards is their long. I think they played great overall. That it was a great game by Washington. New York needs to come out swinging in Game 2. They need touchdowns, and if they can't get them from Russell Wilson, they're going to have to find them from someone else, because there's no excuse as to why this team got 0 touchdowns in this game. Washington wasn't even playing outstanding defense. They just kept not throwing the ball. Every time the Giants went to the middle, they magically got receptions, but they did not keep that tempo up. They didn't keep doing that. They kept going long when they're getting rushed, they're getting blitzed, they're getting hit, they're getting pressured. Russell Wilson looked like a deer in headlights every time he was in the pocket. He scrambled. Every time he saw it, his first thought was the run. He couldn't find a target. He was holding on to the ball too long, too much. He got sacked twice for 11 yards. A lot of pressures, though, on that team. Overall, though, they did get 3 sacks from the line. I was happy with it. And then Abdul Carter coming out in his first game with a blocked punt. Very, very happy to see that. Excellent showing by him. Overall, though, offense needs work. Dan?
This game just really started where we left off last season. It really was no improvements. You saw nothing out of this team. You saw the same type of offense they were playing. You saw basically a no-scheme offense and a no-scheme defense again. You have 4 good pass rushers, and you only got 3 sacks on Daniels, when every time you were pressuring Daniels, he threw the ball away, and you just magically move off of that? Like, I don't understand what the Giants' mentality is on defense when it comes to the scheme. Because how does Abdul Carter only play for 30 snaps? That's a little outlandish to me. The fact that you have the 3rd-round pick in the draft playing 30 snaps, that's just unacceptable. I feel like the Giants needed to pressure Daniel Jones more, because every time, if you're just blitzing the linemen and you're leaving your edges to go out and defend the pass, that's not gonna help the middle linebackers, because our middle linebacker core, like you said last week, is already weak. You add a weak defensive edge to that mainly don't go drop back in coverage, it's even weaker at that point. You have to go to your advantage and use all four of your guys and throw some type of blitz their way that is disguised. You can do this. The Giants had the opportunity to go into Washington, steal a game on defense, and they absolutely failed at that.
All right, Vic, you have any points here?
Yeah, I didn't catch that game, but I watched some highlights. And just going off the stat sheet, I mean, you got Washington was able to muster up close to 500 total offensive yards, man. You know what I mean? Like, that's 200 yards on the ground and 233 in the air to the Giants' mediocre 200 yards total as a team. I mean, they couldn't get the ball running. It forced Wilson to have to make more plays. He threw 37 times in the game, and as you stated, just trying to throw the ball deep because then you start playing from behind, you know. And Daniels, you know, he didn't have to be a superstar because the rushing game was great. You know, they ran the ball for 200 yards between multiple people. You stated Debo. Debo had a 19-yard rush for 19 yards and a touchdown, and he came out and had 7 receptions for 77 yards. You know, so. You were telling us all about Debo. This is what he needed, and look, he came out and dove like he did, like he was with the 49ers, you know. So, all in all, you know, it was a rough game for the Giants on offense. Yeah, the defense had some sacks, but clearly, you know, almost 500 total yards is, you know, there's a lot of holes in the defense that they gotta tighten that up, you know, and I'm sure they can. You know, week 1, you know, division rivalry matchup, Jaden Daniels. And Washington, top team in the division, you know, it's just some poor play by the Giants, and you know, I'm hopeful to see them snap back and turn it around against Dallas coming up this week.
All right.
And for another point for the Giants, I don't want them starting Jackson Dart until Andrew Thomas is back. I feel like, yeah, you can put in your rookie quarterback and try to run with him throughout the season just to get him the experience. But at the same time, the way we saw this offensive line this past week, I don't trust them to have Jackson Dart behind that line and not having a worse performance than Wilson, and then everybody be on him. Oh, he's not the franchise quarterback. It's gonna cause a lot of QB controversy in that locker room if you don't start him behind Andrew Thomas.
I think that the line has more issues than just Andrew Thomas being out. But I think overall, the line, even though they allowed a lot of pressure in on that team, the biggest issue to me was the play calling. I think overall, if they were to actually have thrown the ball short and Russell Wilson wasn't holding the ball for 3.5 seconds to 4 seconds a snap, they probably could have done something, but they just kept throwing it long along the outsides. They kept throwing they tried to throw to Neighbors on the outside. He underthrew him a couple of times, really. They just were not getting anything over the middle. There was no slant plays, no cross routes. It just felt very basic. They just kept trying to do inside runs and long, deep passes. This is not Madden. They're playing like they're playing a game Madden, and I just did not agree with the play calling. Brian Daboll, honestly, for me, he was the biggest issue of that whole entire team. Him, the offensive coordinator, they need to do better. They got to come through and actually make some correct play calling. You need to be able to adjust. You got to be able to come in and recognize that you're getting outplayed on the sidelines. Malik Neighbors was not able to break off a lot of those defensive backs over there. He wasn't able to get past them. He wasn't blowing them out. You have to play up the middle with these guys. Get a short pass. Get your yards through after the catch, like the Jets were doing. Jets were turning plays. They were getting plays coming in. 5-yard pass. They were running out, getting their yards. The Bills doing the same thing. The Ravens doing the same thing. A lot of these teams are getting their yards off of short plays, and then the playmaker making it after he catches the ball already. They weren't chucking it deep every play, and when they did, it was strategic. They just kept trying to throw deep because that's what Russell Wilson does, is he has a deep ball, and when they couldn't do that, it just fell apart. They really need to start. If you know your line is bad, you got to be able to throw short. If you feel you can't throw short, you really need to redesign your offensive line And that should have been more of a focus, more of a priority this season than anything else, if that was going to be the play that you guys are going to get. We already signed Russell Wilson for 2 years. I don't know if we'll see him play the entirety of this season, let alone next season. Who knows where he is at the trade deadline at this point? I honestly don't know, but he's going to be the fall guy. They're not going to play him on the ball. They're not going to do what the Jets did last season and get rid of Salah midway through. They're not going to do that with Dayball. They just won't. That'll ruin everything. They're going to have him stay, which means someone's going to take the fall, and I think it's going to be Russell Wilson at some point in the season. Who knows when they start him? But let's move on to the next game here. Let's get on to another topic. We're going to talk about San Fran versus Seattle. I'm going to leave this one off here. Overall, I think that San Fran... Oh, actually, yeah, San Fran versus Seattle. This was a very close game. The game came down to the fact that McCaffrey came out, and he came back in after everyone had doubted him. Everyone, he was questionable before the game. No one knew if he was going to be playing. It was a whole thing for him. He had 22 carries, 69 yards. It wasn't crazy, right? It wasn't crazy, but he still came in. He did what he had to do. He had 9 receptions, though, for 73 yards. He was a dual threat this game. 10 targets, 9 receptions, basically caught everything. He played the best of both worlds. He was their best receiver. He was their best rushing back. He was better than everyone on that team. Brock Purdy played 26 for 35, 277, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Nothing crazy. He actually didn't. He kind of gave away this game here and there, and McCaffrey was the one who kept it in. At the end of the game, we ended up getting Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy also got hurt. We're not sure what's going on with him. Questionable as of right now, listed by the 49ers to whether he's going to play week 2 or not. And then you have, of course, you have Kettle, tight end over here. He also got injured. He's actually going to be out for multiple weeks. He will be on the IR for the foreseeable future. Not sure really what's going to happen with him. He has a hamstring issue. Can be a very, very long thing. Hopefully it's not a season-ending injury here for him. So we should hopefully see him in the next couple of weeks, but he is on the IR listed currently. Anyone want to take the floor?
I basically think this game was both offenses, especially when you're looking at Seattle's, definitely underperformed. And you kind of expected this from Seattle's offense because we all know what Sam Darnold is capable of. Especially Vic over here because he was on the Jets, so he knows the whole Sam Darnold experience. And yes, he had his resurgence in Minnesota last year, but I think yesterday or Sunday proved just what kind of Sam Darnold you should expect on Seattle. Because yes, he has Jackson Smith Najugba at wide receiver, and he did have 9 receptions, 124 yards, yet no touchdown. So the 49ers defense did show up when it mattered most if they locked down their receivers. But at the same time, Sam Darnold just wasn't what everybody expected him, and everybody built him up to last year and built off that. I just think Sam Darnold is gonna Sam Darnold this year, and the Seattle's offense is definitely gonna have to find ways of scoring.
All right. Vic, you have anything to add to this game?
Yeah, piggyback off of what Dan said. Yeah, I definitely think Seattle's offense underplayed. And I do definitely know what Sam Darnold was like for the Jets. He was way better in Minnesota, that's for sure, having an all-star receiver there, Justin Jefferson, and a well-shaped team. I mean, this game was tricky, though, man. Like, Seattle had multiple chances to really, like, take the game away because it was so close. Purdy, obviously, with 2 interceptions, but they also had 2, I think, what was his name? Jay Smith Nigma, he had a great game, but he fumbled also twice too. I think he only lost it once though. So I think that I think the 49ers defense was able to just hold on. Honestly, both teams didn't really look great, other than McCaffrey. He played a hell of a game, receiving wise and rushing. Definitely wasn't expecting that, especially he's been plagued with injury, and a lot of people not expecting him to come out and perform. Kind of looked like Barkley in a sense, doing it all for them. And really saving the day, keeping them in the game. But the game could have really went either way. In my opinion, I think both teams just played sloppy, and the 49ers were able to just come away with it and maintain a lead. But yeah, Darnold definitely underplayed. I thought he would have played a little bit better. Um, wasn't the worst I've seen him. Definitely, I've seen him at his worst. So curious to see if he steps up next week and plays better than he did this week, or if he takes another step down. And same for Purdy, man. I had high hopes for him to see if he would have like some kind of breakout season this year. But as far as the injury goes, with him being down and Kittle being down, if he's out, I'm pretty sure their backup's going to be Mac Jones. So excited to see if he starts, what he brings to the table.
All right, hey. All right, we're going to move on here to the Tampa Bay versus Atlanta game. I'm personally excited about this one because this one had kind of like a nice finish for the game. It was very exciting, electric both ways. QBs didn't play bad, even if the stats show it a little bit. I feel like it was just a very, very defensive game at some points, and it came down to the wire. Baker Mayfield goes 17 for 32, 167 yards for 3 touchdowns. That game, 0 interceptions. And then Michael Penix Jr. comes out 27 for 42, 298 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. I think this game just basically came down to Atlanta not being able to finish in their game. Bijan Robinson only has 12 carries for 24 yards, but he does have 6 receptions for 100 yards. I think we're seeing a theme here for the running backs in week 1, which is and a touchdown for 7 targets as well. I think we're seeing a theme here for running backs this week, which is basically going to be just them playing both sides. Playing both sides of the ball. If it's not going to be the rush game, if the rush defense is too much for them, they're going to go ahead and they're going to play him at the receiver. And they go ahead, they get these little play options, whether it be a screen or an out route or whatever the case may be, and they're getting yards. Bijan with again another one who's best receiver on their team, 100 yards for the game, 6 receptions. Best one next after that was Kyle Pitts, who no one was sure how he was going to play. Kyle Pitts has been a question mark for a while now. It's kind of been a letdown for him, but maybe he does better this year. Maybe him, Drake London, maybe Penix in his second year finally finds his game to be an even better quarterback than what he was last year, and is really able to get this offense to start clicking. Baker Mayfield here. Again, I think Baker Mayfield, I feel like he's gotten a lot of talk about him, whether it be good or bad. I feel like a spotlight has been put on him this last season, all because of how they did last year getting into the wild card. And I think he played a decent game. He didn't make his mistakes. He made his mistakes, and he also didn't make any major ones that were going to cost his team the game. He didn't come out, throw any interceptions. 3 touchdowns, even for the yardage that he got, he still came out and did his thing. The rush game for them was not there for it. Bucky Irving, only 14 carries, 37 yards. Baker Mayfield had 5 carries for 39 yards. Really nothing to really look at here, other than Emeka Egbuka the rookie, coming out in his first year, first premier game, comes out 4 receptions, 67 yards for 2 touchdowns and 6 targets. He looked like a stud out there on Sunday, and I loved everything I saw about him. I was excited to see him play. I didn't know how they were going to incorporate him into the offense, but they did. They came out and they added him into that star-studded receiving core with Mike Evans, who had 5 receptions, 51 yards, no touchdowns on him. And then Bucky Irving with his 4 receptions for 8 yards. He had 1 touchdown as well to give them basically the win for the game. I do want to talk about real quick the kicking game. I don't know what's going on with week 1, but between the block kicks, the missed extra points, there's a lot we need to talk about with it. But there was a lot of special teams that were just throwing games out of proportion. We've seen it with the Jets game. We've seen it with Falk missing a point after. We've seen it with this team as well. Tampa Bay had the option to basically close out the game, put them up by 4, and they missed the extra point. Oh, same thing with San Fran. Also them. Misses the extra point. Moody got put out immediately. They took him out. They waived him right after that game. He had an extra point missed, and he also got his punt blocked. Yeah, nothing really to say about it, the kicking game here. But they ended up missing a field goal to make it up by a 4-point game, Tampa Bay. They gave Atlanta, with 1 minute left in the game, to drive down the field. They did a great job holding them. Atlanta comes out to kick a 42-yard field goal, and then Koo, their kicker, misses the field goal. Wide right, not a chance of making it. I don't know what happened, but I feel like I never used to see this growing up. Back in the 2000s, I felt like kickers are so strong. They played their game. Kickers nowadays are kicking 70-yard field goals in preseason, but they don't seem to have the accuracy whatsoever. And I think it's costing a lot of these people their games. It's insane. Overall, though, Tampa Bay, great game, very, very good, close game, 23-20. Escaped out of Atlanta by a field goal, by a missed field goal, and next week should be a much better game by Tampa. Looking forward to it. Anyone take the floor?
I definitely think, from the standpoint, like you said, from Tampa Bay's team, the only standout really there was Mbuka. I feel like the way he came out and performed and Baker got him the ball to have those 2 touchdowns, I think that set the tone for what that offense could be, especially when you get the ball to Mike Evans and you don't struggle, because obviously both teams did show up defensively for it to only be a 43-point game total. And you saw that on that last drive, Atlanta was driving down the field pretty heavily. They got into that position to kick the field goal pretty quickly. Yes, they had some calls go against them to help that drive play out the way it did. But at the same time, Michael Penix did look good in his second season. Yes, he only played 5 games last year, so I would really consider this his first year where you're actually going to see what Michael Penix can put up for them. And Bijan Robinson just did Bijan Robinson things. Yeah, he didn't have a good day rushing, but he's a dual threat. He's just like a Saquon Barkley, where you can give him the ball and he will run and put up yards, or you can run a screen and he will get out there and make plays to, like it says here, his longest reception was 50 yards. So he's going to be one of those targets that you're going to go to no matter what when Atlanta needs him. But then you also have Kyle Pitts, and Kyle Pitts did come out and have a decent game. Yes, it wasn't a 100 yards game, but 59 yards, he did show what he's capable of, especially during that last drive. And I just think both teams are in a very good, solid spot this year, especially the Falcons. They look like they have gotten better. But I guess we just need to see more of this offense under Penix, because Atlanta did come out hot because they were the first team to put up points in the first quarter. So if Atlanta could get the ball rolling and actually play with that offense the whole game and not just suddenly collapse like they're known to do, I think Atlanta would be in a very good spot to actually compete with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as their first game. It's a pretty strong statement if you're looking at it from an Atlanta Falcons fan.
Yeah, I agree. Vic, you have anything to add to this?
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was a pretty identical game for both teams, in my opinion. The defenses both played solid and tight. The running games both pretty much weren't there, and Baker Mayfield didn't have crazy amount of yards. Still was able to find his receivers. Finished the day with 3 touchdowns. Penix, actually, really curious to see how he does this season, man. He threw the ball 42 times, managed to get 300 yards, but when that run game is working and Robinson's got about 20 to 22 carries, you alleviate some of those pass attempts, and I think he'll just look that much sharper. Like you said, the field goals also. I don't know what's going on with these kickers, but I also like what you said, man, with these running backs. Like Robinson made up for his weak rushing game and his receptions, right? And you are seeing that evolve, man. You're seeing these running backs get utilized in these checkdowns and these screens. And a main part of that, the reason why I feel like it's flourishing at such a rapid pace between so many teams is because the linebacker position has dwindled down, man. In these recent years, I mean, yeah, I couldn't list you. I could probably give you 5 linebackers that are field generals in the league. When back in the day, that was the position that solidified the defense. Like you weren't getting away with doing that when you had a Ray Lewis, a Luke Kuechly, a Patrick Willis, Brian Urlacher. You had solidified field generals in the middle of the field, and it's dwindled down to a handful of guys. And you're seeing it in the league. This is why the short ball is working in the middle of the field, whether it's slants or whether it's yak yards, because you don't have that athletic dominance presence in the middle of the field that's going to make you second guess that option. They're just going to go for it. And these running backs are so athletic and fast and explosive that they can catch and receive the ball off of a screen or a check down, or they can run it up the gut for 20 carries and still give you 100 yards receiving, because you just ain't got that presence in the middle of the field. And I'm hoping that we start to see that era. We starting to see that run era come back, but it's a little more versatile now. I'd love to see that era of the middle linebacker becoming the really dominant presence on defenses again, because it's been dwindling away been dwindling away for quite some time now. But yeah, all in all, solid game, and and Tampa Bay's able to snuff one out there. But a tough, tight game between both teams, and excited to see what Penix has to offer going through the season for sure.
Okay, moving on to a big division rival matchup here. We're going to go to the Detroit Lions and Green Bay Packers. This game was interesting. I say interesting because the first half alone, Green Bay got off to a great start. They looked like they were going to absolutely dominate Detroit. And they did. They did a great job at keeping Detroit down, a team that was very high in the standings last year. I was not expecting Green Bay to come out here and score 27 and keep Detroit only down to 13. It was a very strange game. We didn't see, again, much on the rushing game from Detroit with Jamar Gibbs up there. But once again, a lot of passing yards and a lot of passing attempts to him. He had 10 receptions on 10 targets, but he had 0 touchdowns. A lot of check down passes over to him. Only had 31 yards. If you're going to throw to your running backs, if it's going to work like that, you have to get him yards. He has to be able to get yards, and if he can't get yards, it means there's something wrong with the play calling that you're doing. And I think it was a lot of what was holding them back here, because he didn't have that much of a rush game either. He had 9 carries for 19 yards. It was very much a bad game overall for Jamar Gibbs on either end of the ball. No matter how you look at it, no matter how you slice it, it just was not his night. Green Bay, with their defense coming out and really stopping that run, coming in with newly added Micah Parsons, by the way, coming in with his first sack. A lot of pressures by him, really added a presence to that defense. Overall, solid showing though. I think that Detroit really just needed a run game, because the passing game was there. Goff went 31 for 39, which is a very, very impressive ratio there for a QB. He got sacked 4 times for 25 yards, 225 yards total for his day. 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Interceptions are never good. Obviously, you don't want to get picked off. But overall, 31 for 39 is a very, very solid game. Otherwise, they couldn't get to the end zone. They couldn't finish. Green Bay's defense was just too strong, because Jordan Love only had 16 for 22, only finished with 12 yards less, under 17 passing attempts earlier than Jared Goff, and they still finished with 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions there for him. 128.6 QB rating here for him. Solid game overall. Josh Jacobs, 19 carries, 66 yards. Their whole team was playing great. No matter who you threw it to, they had yards. Romeo Dobbs, 68 yards here thrown. Jaden Reed, 45 yards. Tucker Kraft gets a touchdown, 2 receptions, on one of them being a touchdown, 16 yards. Overall, solid game. They just passed the ball around. They looked like a solid team. And then the rookie Isaiah Tesla over on Detroit getting an amazing touchdown. One-handed fadeaway over the defender, in the end zone. Fantastic game by him. I think that's an upside here for Detroit, but overall, you still do want to see more from this team. Uh, we got to see some kind of rushing. The top rushing leaders from last year don't seem to want to run. Besides, well, two key backs, one of them being Saquon Barkley, which we talked about previous in the week, and another one we'll be getting to later on in the show. Anyone have anything to add about this game?
I think to piggyback off of what you said, I feel like you noticed the loss of Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson from the Lions. That Lions offense, especially Jared Goff. I didn't really watch the game, but at the same time, I've seen some Lions fans say Jared Goff looked like, even though he did have 31 and even though he did have went 31 for 39 with 225 yards, they said that he looked like a deer with a deer in headlights. So maybe the stats don't really project what was shown in the game and really while watching the game from our standpoint, but you really notice the loss of those two key, uh, the defensive coordinator and offensive coordinator from the Lions. And I just think it's going to take some time for them to fill the shoes and try to get the offense under control, especially from the offensive coordinator standpoint. But like you said, Detroit really needs to get their stuff together, especially when you have Jermaine Gibbs in the backfield. He should be definitely putting up more than 20 yards a game.
Vic, over to you.
Yeah, man. Good win for Green Bay. I definitely think this game could have been different if the run game was working for Detroit, and it's and that's just the bottom line. I mean, between Montgomery and Gibbs to have 20 carries and just under 50 yards rushing, that's really the difference. I mean, after being such a successful duo last year to come out and not be able to produce, Goff really didn't have a bad game. Yeah, he had one turnover, but it wasn't the deciding factor in the game. He took 4 sacks, but all in all, that run game, I mean, he passed, he did his part, it's just that run game's got to come together. I don't know, they just couldn't get it going. 20 carries for under 50 yards is just not going to get you the win. Josh Jacobs had a, solid game, wasn't too bad, 66 yards on 19 carries. Jordan Love did what he needed to win. He didn't have to go play crazy. The defense was able to hold them and keep them into the game. And I mean, they started off strong early on, and I think once they had that lead, they just weren't going to lose it. You didn't have to do much after having that momentum. It was just like taking the energy out of that team. So I'm curious to see how that Sonic Knuckles combination of the run game comes back next week with Dan Campbell guaranteeing a win next week.
I like that analogy of the Sonic and Knuckles. There's a good analogy for them. Hopefully they do better next week. Just really need to do better rushing. That's really the only big issue I see with that team right there. And yeah, Jared Goff looked like a deer in headlights. Probably held onto the ball a little too long with each possession. That could do a lot though with Green Bay having a solid defense overall though in that game. We'll probably see something about that, but who knows? Hopefully next week they pick their game up and we should see a better showing out of Jamar Gibbs and the rest of that team because yeah, he did his job. No matter how you slice it, still 31 for 39. Just needs to get better on the rushing guards, alleviate some of the pressure off of having to throw the ball. We should not be seeing these many throwing games. You guys have star-studded running backs. Run the ball. Even if it's not working all the time, run the ball. Because you know what? We are about to go to a rush-heavy game. And we're all a mix of both, really. We had a lot of rushing and we had a lot of passing in this game. We're going to be moving on to the next topic here, which is, I think, game of the week, game of the month, game of the season, decade, whatever you want to call it. The Baltimore Ravens versus the Buffalo Bills, potentially an AFC Championship playoff game or a divisional game. Obviously, the Jets are going to make it to the conference finals. We already know that. Vic's guaranteeing it here and now. So with the Jets making it over there, it's going to be one of these two teams going up against them in the conference. So it'll be Jets either versus the Bills or the Ravens in the conference final for the AFC. But yeah, overall though, this game was incredible. Who wants to start off with this one? Who wants to take the floor with this? There's a lot to unpack here.
Like what you said, this game delivered on all cylinders. Like, where can you even start with this game? Because this was a game that we were spoiled to at the start of the year. That should have been like you said, it's gonna be either the AFC Championship game or a divisional round game, and we got this early, and it was 41-40. So like, you're looking at this game. Both teams played tremendously well. Like, okay, maybe the defense didn't show up, and obviously it didn't for both teams to put up 40 points. But there were some key stops on both sides of the ball key stops on both defenses. You have the fumble that led to the game-winning drive for Buffalo. You just have a lot to take away and dissect from this game. Like, Lamar Jackson showed that why he's Lamar Jackson. He was that dual threat guy that threw for 209 yards, went 14 for 19, 2 touchdowns, weighed an additional 70 yards with 1 touchdown running. And then you have Derrick Henry, who just completely showed out that game.
Domination.
18 carries for 169, 2 touchdowns. Rushing leader and probably the top running back this year so far, from what we've seen. And we thought what Saquon did was decent his first game. Derrick Henry showed up and outclassed him in every way going into this game Sunday night. It's just insane. And then you also had Zay Flowers, who balled out. 7 receptions, 143 yards, 1 touchdown. It's just, both these offenses just showed out. And then you had Josh Allen showing why he is the reigning MVP of the league last year. He showed up and made a statement that I'm here to stay and the AFC is mine.
Vic, you got anything here? You want me to go first? All right, let's hear this one.
I got something right here. You know, first I gotta tip my hat off to that Buffalo team, man. What a
Would you like to throw on your Josh Allen jersey real quick for this one, or?
Oh, I'm gonna get to that real quick. But I gotta tip my hat off to them as much as I despise Buffalo in every way. Total credit to that team just for not giving up and playing till the end of the whistle, literally, man. Like, to be able to come back and win that game. I watched that game with you guys till about the fourth quarter with 4 or 5 minutes left with my Josh Allen jersey on. While they were losing 40-25, I told myself as a Jet fan, I wore my Jet jersey today and we lost. So if I wear a Josh Allen jersey, they're gonna lose. 5 minutes or 4 minutes left in the game. It's getting late. Telling the boys I'm going to bed.
Part of the game.
I take off my jersey and I go to bed. Literally, a minute and a half later, I get a text message from Pat. Come back right now. They're about to win this game. It was 4 minutes later, 2 minutes later, that I got this text laying down. And it's unbelievable. I mean, and I called it. It's just like, you know what I mean? But it's just a great game. I knew this was going to be a high-scoring game. I had it 38-35. I'm not surprised that it went to the score that it did. It's just like a glimpse of last year is going to come down to a play or a drive, and that's exactly what we got. Derrick Henry, whoever had him on fantasy, kudos to you, man. Guy bowled out. He's a savage, other than the fumble, but
Cough.
yeah, man. Cough, yeah. But yeah, solid, man. Like two high-powered teams just going at it. I knew we were going to get this kind of game. And man, just Josh Allen and that team, man, just show the resilience, man, to hang in there and to not lose hope. It's easy to lose hope with 4 minutes left in the game, being down 4-25, man, and to come out and pull a Tom Brady type of energy out of left field, and just everything starts going in the right direction for you, and you march down the field, and things start going right. That energy, that momentum shifted real quick, and what they were able to do in a matter of 4 minutes is just you're probably looking at comeback game of the year or possibly game of the season, to start off in week 1. So it was just a really exciting game, and I'm glad I missed the end of it. Maybe if I would have left my jersey on, it would have stayed 40-25, but I'm glad I didn't see them visibly win, because I really thought we were all going to be in first place starting week 2. And unfortunately, Josh Allen had other plans, so yeah.
I think you
Back to
said
you, Patty.
before you left that if I take off this jersey, they're gonna come back and win.
Yeah. Damned if I did and damned if I didn't, all right? That's what I'm going with.
That's why for next week, he's actually going to the Jet game in his Josh Allen jersey, so he can actually watch the Jets win. That's what he's going to end up doing here.
Yeah, I'll get thrown off the balcony.
It'll be great. He'll be leading the Jets chants wearing it too. And it's just, this game was, it was fantastic. I don't even know how to put into words. There's no amount of, I'm going to have to look up syllables for fantastic. I'm going to look at whatever synonyms are there for it. They're all of them, just every single one of them. This game was one of the most electrifying matches I've ever seen. I'm almost sure it was sponsored by the WWE or something like that, because it was incredible. You couldn't script it any better to make it one of these games that just, it gave you everything. It gave you slight defensive coverage, and I slight, very loosely slight, because 40-41, 81 points in the game. I'm going to say slight on the defense. But just a solid game by everyone here. Lamar Jackson, 14 for 19, 209 yards, 2 TDs thrown. I felt like they probably could have passed it more. 19 passes is a little low for him, but they did run the ball. They did come out, like what Dan said, with that dual threat mentality. Lamar Jackson, 6 rushes for 70 yards, basically coming out of this game with 280 yards total on his own. And then you give it to Derrick Henry. If he doesn't fumble that ball, this duo is so phenomenal. I don't think we've ever seen something as dominant as what this could potentially be. And I'm scared for any team that has to go up against the Baltimore Ravens with a locked-in Derrick Henry who's not fumbling, and a locked-in Lamar Jackson who throws even just a tad bit more. You give him like 10 more passes, this game could look completely different. But solid showing from Baltimore, and that's pretty much all I want to say about Baltimore overall. Just those two, and Zay Flowers. 100. You know what? Let me give Flowers his flowers, because 7 receptions, 143 yards. Dan was at the edge of his seat all game, because all he needed was for Zay Flowers not to do a thing so he could win in fantasy or have a chance at it, and Zay Flowers took that personal. And he went ahead and got 143 yards for 1 touchdown off of 7 receptions on 9 targets. Overall, they had their roles. They played them well. They executed. 40 points on the board. The only thing they couldn't do was get the win, and we're going to go over as to why. Josh Allen, 33 for 46, 394 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He threw the most out of any quarterback this week with 0 interceptions. And he shows why he was the MVP of the league, because he came out and he was also a dual threat. Not only did he throw more than Lamar, he also rushed more. He didn't get the yards on the rushing side, though. Lamar had that to himself. But he did come out for 14 rushes for 30 yards, giving him a total on himself, a total of 434 yards. That's incredible for a QB to just get in week 1 out the gate, not even playing in preseason, just we're just going to do that. And they got it. They got it done. He threw to every receiver. I'm almost certain they, in mid-game, called people out of practice squad and then ended up getting yards on that team because everyone's got a reception on that team. Everyone except for one person, which is Ty Johnson, and that's it. They're running back. That's the only person who doesn't have a reception in this game. Everyone else, and I mean everyone, even the third string back, everyone got a reception. Keenan Coleman comes back, returns to the Bills, and gets 8 receptions for 112 yards on 11 targets, 1 touchdown, a very crucial touchdown, I might add. You have Khalil Shakir coming out, 6 receptions, 64 yards. Palmer, 5 receptions, 61 yards. James Cook, 5 receptions for 58 yards, while also having 13 carries for 44 yards with a touchdown there as well. Josh Allen also rushed 2 touchdowns in this game, which he's big-bodied. The guy is fast. I don't even know what to say with him. I'm almost certain the next Superman movie is going to have him starring in it. He will be playing the next Superman. I'm calling it here now. It's between him and Dwight Howard fighting over the spot because I don't even know anymore. It's between them two for the role. This offense was cooking. They played great. They played amazing. Dalton Kincaid, the tight end, did fumble, but they did recover the fumble. No, actually, they did actually. I think they lost it. But Derrick Henry also fumbling was the tide. They were down 40 to 25, 40 to 25, and they came back. No, they lost it to them because they both had 1 fumble recovery each. So they both recovered 1. Yeah, 22 points in the fourth quarter coming out. Everyone thought they were going to lose. If you had all had anyone on these teams for fantasy, you won, most likely, unless you're Dan. That you're the only person who I think lost with this team, which is really just unfortunate. But overall, though,
talk about their defense, please.
Let's talk about their defense real quick, because Dan brought it up.
No, let's not.
Negative 7 points for Baltimore Ravens on defense, which rightfully so, because how do you give up that kind of pointage in the last quarter when you are the Baltimore Ravens? That's the Baltimore Ravens downfall, and they need to stop that going forward, which is they need to not give up games against tough opponents. No matter how tough the opponent is, you need to have these games covered. There's no reason why Buffalo walked out of that stadium with a win. There shouldn't have been a win there, but they did it anyway. On their last season in this stadium, they did it. They came out with a game to remember, and overall just amazing. Couldn't do better myself. But next week I would be playing quarterback, so I'll take over for Josh Allen, show him how it's really done. And the last game of the week. Yeah, what's up?
I think that's the 7th game that they've lost while winning in the third quarter or later, in the John Harbaugh era.
He's been there for a while. I think he's the 2nd most tenured coach. It's incredible to see, but I mean I don't know how that compares to other coaches, but that's just not something you want to see. John Harbaugh just definitely went on to them into the end. I'm sure that locker room was ecstatic. I'm sure something was going on in that locker room after the game. But moving on here to the last and final game here, we're going to move on to Monday Night Football, which we had Minnesota versus Chicago. I'm not really going to say too much here other than the fact that McCarthy came out, didn't play great at the beginning. He did show out in the fourth quarter. I don't know where it came from. It's like he just switched on a switch and was like, you know what, it's my game now, and he took over. He did throw an interception for a pick 6. He did get 2 touchdowns, went 13 for 20 on 143 yards. He rushed 2 for 25 yards. Didn't do too bad. The run game was all right. You know, they had Jordan Mason over there, 18 carries for 68 yards. Justin Jefferson could have done more in this game. I think that was a big part here was Justin Jefferson, McCarthy. That combination needs to do better. Justin Jefferson had 2 plays in which he just dropped. One of them was a little bit of a low pass, but it's Justin Jefferson. At the end of the day, the caliber of player you are, he needs to keep onto the ball. Same thing with Jamar Chase. There's so many top receivers today or in this week that just had too many drop passes. Caleb Williams, I honestly don't think he even looked that bad. He went 21 for 35. Did obviously miss his throws. We went 210 yards, 6 carries for 58 yards, 1 touchdown there, 1 touchdown thrown. He was the star of this team. He showed it. Uh, Moore got hurt. Caleb Williams got hurt towards the end of the game too. We're not sure what's going on with that as far as for week 2. I think Moore's was actually a little bit more serious. I didn't see any kind of a report about it though. Odunze played great. He played decent. 6 receptions for 37 yards, 1 touchdown. The only touchdown by a receiver actually was from Odunze. Moore had 3 receptions, 68 yards. It's just really not much going on here with this team. I think the line held up better. They did get sacked twice for 12 yards, but overall the defense played decent. The offense played decent. It's just, again, another fourth quarter blown lead. I don't know what's with this fourth quarter. Fourth quarter and kickers is the theme of this week, and the running backs being the best receivers for the most part. Because overall, though, they really didn't have much else going on for them. It's just yeah, 27-24 Vikings get the win there. Anyone have anything to add about this game?
I mean, this game, I know me and you watched it together, but like you said, Chicago came out and showed. Club Williams went out and showed why early that they can be an offense to match, but that quickly went downhill come after the half. They really didn't do much. Yeah, they had the pick 6 and everything, but like I said, once Minnesota's defense started rushing Club Williams more, he was holding on to the ball for too long. And you noticed that because once they started rushing him, he did start making errors. It wasn't like he played a clean game. He was getting pressured. Yeah, he only had 2 sacks, but they were pressuring him enough to where it did rattle him. So, and the fact that Minnesota came back, J.J. McCarthy did snap into another gear after the half, especially in the fourth quarter. But not really much to say about this game besides like maybe the Vikings defense underperformed, but to what we saw last year from them and how much they were pressuring quarterbacks. But not really much to say on my part.
Vic, guy, I think this one.
Yeah, man, great comeback for Minnesota, man. Rough start, obviously, for McCarthy. That lopsided first half, and then coming out in the fourth quarter and putting up 21 points. I mean, that'll do it. That's going to do it for you every time, man. Chicago's got to tighten up that defense. You can't be blowing leads like that. And Caleb, like Dan said too, man, that was his issue last year, holding on to the ball too long, trying to make plays. Even not using his legs, but trying to make a throw while using his legs. It's just like, if they could just get him to sit in that pocket, he's got such a nice tight zip on his throw. That's improved from last year, man. And, not a terrible performance. I think he threw the ball way more than he needed to. Swift, 53 yards, 17 carries. Not atrocious, but not as effective as to where Caleb had to do more of the work, man, and that defense just has to tighten up and not give up 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. I mean, you don't give up 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, you win that game. So, yeah, credit to McCarthy for surging in the late second half to come out and steal that one.
Okay. All right, well, that's our Week 1 recap here, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. We'll be back with our Week 2 picks, who we think was going to win. And next week's recap as well, coming out on YouTube here soon. If you did like the video, please be sure to like and subscribe. Do appreciate you guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. Have a good one.